away with stage, Max Herter!
How we doing? This month my challenge is to do stand-up comedy, and this is me right at the end of the month. So this month I'm starting with no jokes, no material, no experience on stage, but by the end of the month I'm hoping to be able to perform stand-up comedy competently, and I'm even going to enter a comedy competition called Raw Comedy to see how I go with my newfound jokes. I'm very nervous for this challenge, so let's dive into my story of me learning stand-up comedy in 1 month. So to start things off, I wanted to come up with a few ideas for jokes and then catch up with some comedians to test those ideas. So I ended up catching up with a comedian called Josh Glantz, who's a great comedian and won an award for Best Show at Fringe Festival, to test some of my joke ideas to him. Hey guys, if you like what I'm doing, please hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can be notified of future challenges like language learning and filmmaking and heaps of other exciting stuff. All right, let's get into it. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So after introducing myself and hearing his story, I started telling him some of my jokes, and I don't think he was a big fan of my early jokes.
So what's the gag then? When you're saying it now, does it seem as funny as when you first thought about it?
Nah. And eventually he asked a very important question, and it was a question that I wanted to answer myself this month.
Do you think you're funny?
Growing up, people were like, you should do stand-up comedy. I was the funny kid. So it was good to get some really brutal and honest feedback and to really drill down the question on what is actually funny about this joke. So I took that advice and I wrote down a bunch of ideas and I started telling them to some friends, and I got them to take some notes, and then we brainstormed some ideas about, is that a funny idea and how we can turn that into a little bit. And that was really useful, and it led me to building my first little set for my first gig. So I'm on my way to my first comedy open mic night. It's safe to say that I'm pretty freaking nervous. I think I've got about 2 good jokes. So I think if I get at least a couple laughs, I'll consider that a win. Performing stand-up comedy today. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Your next act, can we start the clapping now? Welcome to the Max Herter.
Hey guys, how we going? I also see a lot of ads on Facebook, and one of my favorite that always pops up is the 8-week body sculpting challenge, where you see this guy that's like a little bit overweight, and then 8 weeks later he's like ripped with a 6-pack. I was like, okay, that's all right, but I think I've got a better 8-week challenge, which is the 8-week Photoshop challenge. So I took it, and after 2 weeks I was ripped with a 6-pack. And after 8 weeks I was black with double D boobs. So I just did my first ever open mic comedy gig. I tried to have just some fun up on stage. I definitely was a bit nervous. I definitely spoke a bit fast. I've definitely got a lot of things to improve, but it was pretty good. I had my very supportive girlfriend come join me. What did you think of the show?
It was hilarious.
You heard it from my toughest critic. That's my toughest critic. I've never made her laugh before, so if she found it funny, then maybe I got something. Let's stick it out and see how I go. Joke, joke, joke. That's such a...
I got into comedy about 3.5 years ago or so.
So I was back at it and me working on my set, and I was lucky enough to meet with a hilarious comedian called Michael Shaver, who has an award-winning show. And if you haven't seen him, I'd highly recommend you check him out. We had a lot of fun together riffing on different jokes and ideas. This one joke I had was how a year ago Uber was really exciting and I was just so stoked to be there. And then a year later, I'm so disappointed by everything, and I get into my Uber and I just want my minty. And so this is us riffing on that joke. This water's for me?
Nah.
This water's for me? Nah, I can't take this. Please, I can't take this.
Please, no. No. This is an 80-cent Uber ride. You're losing. I mean, that's what you hate. This is a $2 Uber ride. You are losing money on this. I need to get to the 7-Eleven now. All right, thanks for the water, buddy. Where the is my minty?
Yeah, that's funny. So tonight is going to be my second gig, and I'm nervous as always, but I'm excited to try out some new material.
Please put your hands together. Very warm welcome for Maxwell Herton.
Hey guys, how we going? I remember when I was single, dating can be pretty tough. Like I went on this date, well I thought it was a date, but it turns out it was a pyramid scheme. I really should have got that hint when I was like, what do you like to do for fun? And she's like, tax deductible income streams. So after an okay second performance, then I got to catch up with a hilarious comedian called Aiden Taco Jones, who had some pearls of wisdom for me.
Your first gig was it was good, and I really want you to bomb and roar.
Yeah.
I really want it to be the opposite. Normally, sometime in your first 10, you bomb. When you become a comedian isn't when you do your first set, but it's when you bomb for the first time, and you know what that feels like, because that is like an intrinsic part of doing comedy.
I'm on my way to perform for my third time stand-up comedy, which is exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's just everything.
I think where the novelty is really consistent is a boat. Why is it when you're on a boat and you see someone on a boat, you're just so excited, you start waving? It's like they're saying, we're usually on land. And the other person's like, I know, we're usually on land. I think part of the reason is because when you're on a boat, you don't have to ever stop and chat. Like, I'll leave that there.
So I just finished my third gig for stand-up comedy, and holy moly, it went bad. People find it tough to do stand-up, but I think it's good to go through this process and get no laughs and and still be kind of happy and excited to do the next gig. So something crazy about comedy is a joke works one night and then the next night it bombs and leaves you really confused thinking, was that joke funny or am I even funny? What's going on here? I've had a lot of challenges within my monthly challenges. I've had to do a backflip, which was really scary for me, or drop into a bowl on a skateboard. But there's something different about just going up and telling jokes and just hearing silence. It's just a weird feeling. But I know that this is my challenge, so I need to get it out there. So I wanted to show the process of how an idea comes into a fully fledged joke. And so I wanted to just pick out one of my jokes. So this one is the boat joke. And I want to show you from when I first started performing it to my friends, to when I started performing it to comedians, and then brainstorming different ideas to them, to finally performing it on stage and getting a good laugh. And so you can see that journey. Someone else on a boat, they just start really excitedly waving to you. And it's like they're saying, we're usually on land. And you're like, oh my God, we're usually on land. And there's just this excitement because you're not on land.
So there is something funny about that.
So
like that, as soon as you said that, I smiled and it resonated with me. I don't think, again, the punch is not where we're usually on land. The first thing I think of is, why are we waving at each other?
You know, for me, as I riff on that bit, it's like, you walk past someone on land, in a car, nothing. On a boat, you're like, we're usually on land! And the other person's like, I know, we're usually on land!
Yeah. That's good. You could even add a joke and be like, I can't afford a boat, so I make up for it by just waving to people as I pass down the street. You're like, you could just act out, hey John! Like, you're on a boat, so like you don't have to engage in conversation because like you're never gonna see this person again in your life. Yeah. But if you're passing someone on the street, it's like a little straight.
They're like, yes, and you're like, oh,
I did not think that.
So I'm usually in a boat, and then you just try to glide up. You know. Yeah. You're like,
Boats. Why is it when there's people on a boat and they see another person on a boat, they're so excited they just start waving? It's like they're saying, we're usually on land. The other person's like, I know, we're usually on land. I think part of the reason you wave on a boat is because you don't actually have to stop and chat to that person. I want to replicate that experience of being on a boat, but I can't afford it. So sometimes I'll just be on the street and just start waving, and they'll be like, hello? And they'll be like, I don't know what to do now. I'm usually on a boat. It's going to roll on out again.
So now back to the challenge. I got to catch up with another great comedian, a guy called Ashley Fields and me, who gave me some amazing advice in the lead up to my final show.
I see where they're laughing, and then after I get a good idea or a good feel of where they're laughing, then I'll cut out all the unnecessary parts. Once you're relaxed with the joke, you can actually fuck with it more. You know what I'm saying? You can say more things, or you could not say things. You can actually write on stage because you're so comfortable because you know they're gonna laugh. But it's a process.
I am on my way to my 5th performance now for the month. I'm more or less performing the same jokes, but I've got two things to focus on today, which is to speak slowly and actually pause a little bit when I'm on stage and oversell the jokes, really feel the joke and sell it. So that's my goal tonight. Let's see how I go. Technology is moving pretty fast. I saw this ad on TV for a Dicon air conditioner where a husband walks into the room and the wife's like, "Thanks for the coffee, hun." The husband's like, "I didn't make you a coffee." And then they stare at the air conditioner like it's so smart it can make a coffee. I thought, okay, these ads are promising a lot out of technology. What are we going to see next? Like a guy walks into a room and he's like, "You vacuumed my house. Toaster, was that you? You paid off my mortgage. Washing machine. How did I get custody back of the children? Toothbrush." So after performing 6 times this month, it all came down to my raw comedy performance, which was my comedy competition. As soon as I entered, I got some bad news, and unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to film my set. Hey guys, so I just finished my last gig, or my 7th gig for the month, and it went okay. It wasn't my best gig, it wasn't my worst gig. I think that I didn't perform the jokes as well as I might have in some of the other gigs, and I think maybe the room was a little bit flat at the time, but I'm still happy with the journey that I've taken this month. I didn't make it through to the next round of my comedy competition, but I'm totally cool with that, and I'm happy with my performance. I'm really excited to move on to my next month, which is doing cinematography. So that's all about filmmaking and thinking about how to make beautiful films. And hopefully you'll see that skill in the next video. So it should be really interesting. I'm gonna be traveling to the heart of film for that video. So that should be interesting and fun for that. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. And as always, happy learning.